The Herd, wherever you may be and however you may be listening, live in Los Angeles. Sponsored by Firestone Complete Auto Care. Keep your car running newer and longer. Christine Leahy is joining us for hour 3, 30 minutes. Brett Brown, coach of the Sixers, joins us. And in under 10 minutes, Daniel Jeremiah, who was an NFL scout for 8 years before joining the NFL Network, will join us as well.
I'm surprised that Brett Brown agreed to do the show after what you've said about Joel Embiid and, you know, the Sixers thing.
I think Ben Simmons is going to be an all-time. I'm not anti-Philadelphia. They're better than I thought, faster than I thought. Some of that's Boston's injuries. So, all right, so we're going to have that coming up, Brett Brown. But we all watched last night, so you know where I'm starting. LeBron played almost a perfect game last night. I mean, he almost played a perfect game. At home, against the rebuilding Indiana Pacers. And the Cavs needed an officiating break and a last-second three by LeBron to narrowly win. You watch Cleveland's roster, it's useless. Only one of LeBron's teammates made more than 2 shots last night. I'm not making that up. If LeBron leaves Cleveland again, he doesn't owe that city anything. This is LeBron and 9 valets, and they're not even good valets. These are the kind of valets that lose your car keys or bring you the wrong Mazda. These are bad valets. J.R. Smith went 0 for 8. Kevin Love hurt again, 2 for 11. All the new guys, people were falling in love with Rodney Hood and Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance, combined for 13 points. I don't want to see any burning jerseys because you know he's leaving. You know he's not staying for this garbage. Let's look at what has happened in Cleveland pre and post LeBron. Before he arrived, the previous year they were 17-65. That was 15 years ago. Then he showed up in Cleveland, and in 7 years they made the playoffs 5 times, including 2 division titles and a final. And then he left, and they butchered the number 1 pick. They were immediately awful and averaged 25 wins a year. Then he came back, 4 years, 3 finals, 1 title. We have a pattern here, don't we? The franchise is an utter embarrassment without LeBron. They were before he got there, they were when he left, and they're going to be when he leaves. But when he leaves this time, he doesn't owe you anything. I don't care where he was born. He has given you everything. What we're watching now is garbage. It is valets that lose your keys. He's playing brilliant basketball. He's in his 15th year. You can blame him all you want, but since 1970, the Cavs have won 45% of their games. My bad, 42% of their games that LeBron doesn't play, closer to 67 that he does. You can blame anybody you want, but this is a bottom 10 roster in the NBA without LeBron. It is garbage. But Colin, I don't want to hear it. You were junk before him, you were junk when he left, and you're going to be junk in an hour when he leaves. I don't want to hear it. You're the luckiest franchise in the world that you had him. I don't want to hear it. If she leaves you guys and you're a mess, she comes back, you're great. Yeah, she's a little needy, but you can't live without her. I don't want to see. You know what I want to see when he leaves now? Statues. You know what I want to see? I want you to rename the city to Clebron, Ohio. I want the Browns to become the Bronze. I want a shrine. I want a museum. I want the face of LeBron James on the roof of the arena because you before him and you after him have been utterly embarrassing. But this is the worst looking roster if you take LeBron in the entire playoff picture. It is a mess. Kyle Korver's the only player that made over 2 shots last night against the rebuilding Pacers. All right, we by the way, here's the game winner from LeBron, Cavs radio. This is fun. I mean, it was a great shot. It shouldn't have come to this, but it was a great shot.
Screen set for LeBron James. Going to work, fires, leaning. DeMartin! Away it goes! Walks off! Playoff winner! He does it again! LeBron James, the miracle worker. The king defies description.
Okay, let me shift gears. Breaking news. Been on the phone all morning long. I'm hanging out with the L.A. Chargers tonight in their draft room, and I've been talking to a variety of people, not them, but a variety of people. Here's what's happening. In Las Vegas this morning, we have now changing odds. We have multiple local, multiple national reporters reporting what I'm going to tell you right now. The Cleveland Browns are going to take Baker Mayfield with the number 1 pick. I wouldn't do it. They're going to do it. Let me explain why. Here's what I've been told. The Cleveland Browns have a general manager, John Dorsey. John Dorsey used to be in Green Bay. When he was in Green Bay, the Packers acquired Brett Favre, and he changed the world. They believe Baker Mayfield has Favre qualities. Lil baggage, playmaker, cocky, over the top, change the franchise. I'd like to look at the camera now and say something. I do not think Baker Mayfield is Brett Favre. I would like to quadruple down on that before the draft. I do not believe Baker Mayfield is Brett Favre. Brett Favre falls from the sky once every 30 years in this league. Baker Mayfield fell when he was tackled by cops in Fayetteville. I do not believe they're the same level of talent. But let me tell you why today is a glorious day for me, an absolutely glorious day for me. Because I like Sam Darnold as a prospect, as a quarterback, as a person, and as a leader. So today, he's not going to go to Cleveland. And through this entire process, I think I was the first to bring it up about 6 months ago, I thought Sam Darnold maybe should stay in school so he wasn't drafted by Cleveland. Because I've lived this, and I've viewed it, and I've seen it. It is impossible to overcome dysfunction. It's impossible. Phil Jackson won a title in the CBA in Albany. Won 6 in Chicago and 5 with the Lakers. He was a disaster with the New York Knicks. Nick Saban, successful at Michigan State, LSU, and Alabama. He's a legend. Where did he fail? In the dysfunction of the Miami Dolphins. Sam Darnold is the best quarterback prospect in this draft. But my concerns were always, can he overcome Cleveland? Good God, folks, Bill Belichick's the best football coach of my life. He got fired in Cleveland. So now Darnold may drop to number 2 with the Giants. Stable franchise, smart people, real defense. He may fall to Denver at 5. Don't kid yourself. If he was available, even with Case Keenum, they'd take him. By the way, Buffalo now can move up to number 2. They have been historically weird, but I like their staff right now. They have a real defense. They made the playoffs last year. I'd take Buffalo over Cleveland. Cleveland, no matter what quarterback goes there, the general manager, John Dorsey, didn't hire this staff. He inherited it. So whoever goes there, and now it's going to be Baker, is going to have a different staff in year 2 than he gets as a rookie. So he's going to be 2 staffs in year 2. That's not good. Baker Mayfield is going number 1 according to local, regional, national sourcing. Vegas now officially changing the odds. They don't do that just on rumors and speculation. I'll double, triple, quadruple down. I do not think Baker Mayfield, and I say this with great confidence, is Brett Favre. And with that, we go to the site of the NFL Draft, Dallas, Texas, tonight, 8 Eastern, here on Fox Network. Daniel Jeremiah via the Coward Global Satellite Network. Was a college scout with the Baltimore Ravens, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Browns for over 8 years. Maybe I'm too harsh. I just don't get it. What am I missing on Baker Mayfield? You're a former NFL scout for almost a decade. What am I missing?
Well, look, it's really going to be fun to watch what happens tonight, Colin. But I think Baker Mayfield's the 3rd quarterback in this class, and the fact that he's going number 1 definitely does surprise me. I heard you talking about Scott McCloughan and the connection there with John Dorsey going back to Brett Favre. Also, McCloughan was there in Seattle when they had Russell Wilson, so you've got that connection as well. You're trying to talk yourself into the fact that Baker Mayfield is the next version of those players. Now, I don't see him in that light.
Yeah,
I think he's got a chance to be successful. But I've been saying from start to finish here that Sam Darnold is the obvious pick, and things are obvious for a reason. just make the obvious choice and get the right guy, it sounds like they're going to go in a different direction.
By the way, last season, you and I agreed on this. I just found this out. You had Deshaun Watson #1, and a lot of people were talking themselves out of Deshaun Watson because of the turnovers, and they're talking themselves out of Darnold because of the turnovers. What about Darnold's fumbles? Does that freak you out? Does that bother you?
Well, the interceptions don't bother me at all. The fumbles are a legitimate thing. But I've talked to offensive coordinators and quarterback coaches that have given me examples of players that have had these issues. They've implemented some changes, and they've been able to correct it. And even when you watch games on Sundays, you'll see Aaron Rodgers will have some fumbling issues. You'll see Russell Wilson have some fumbling issues. You have to be willing to live with some of that to get some of the creativity and the playmaking ability that you get from Sam Darnold. But, man, for my money, the good so far outweighs the bad, and he's just a 20-year-old kid. He's going to make improvements as we go forward. He's wired the right way. He's big. He's tough. He checks a lot of the boxes for me.
Okay, I'm going to put up your mock draft this morning, and I'll tell you something. If your mock draft is right, and the Colts, who've already gotten extra picks by trading down, get Bradley Chubb, they will have officially won the night. Holy man, that's exactly what they need. Is there a player to you, and maybe it's not a quarterback, do you have a guy that you see there's virtually no chance to bust in this draft?
Well, I mean, I was scouting when Aaron Curry came out of Wake Forest, and that's what we said in draft rooms all around the league, and he ended up being a bust. So I hate using that, no risk factor whatsoever, bust proof. But Quentin Nelson, to me, I mean, I just don't know where the bad tape is. And you talk about being great on tape and then having the dimensions that he has, the traits that he has that are off the charts. He's smart, he's tough, he's durable. I mean, he literally checks every single box for what you want from an offensive lineman. That just comes down to philosophically, how high do you take a guard? That's the only question with Quentin Nelson.
Okay, Daniel, you were a scout for 8 years. Are teams right now, I'm going to hang out in the Chargers draft room tonight. I'm freaking out. I'm so excited. Yeah. Does everybody kind of know I would say in the top 10 picks, are they still arguing this morning on stuff?
Well, they shouldn't be. That should all be done. I mean, look, the team that just won the Super Bowl last year, it's an organization I worked with. I know all those guys well. I called them last night to see how they were doing. They were at the Phillies game. So that hay is in the barn. There's no need to be doing any more work at this point in time. If you've been on top of your game, you've got the list of players you have in order. You've got a list of guys you will not trade off of. If they're there when you're on the clock, you're picking them. You've got a list of a couple guys you would consider moving up for. So all those scenarios should be laid out. If you're scrambling right now, you're doing this whole thing wrong.
Lamar Jackson, an offensive coordinator said yesterday he can't play in this league. I don't buy into can'ts. Tim Tebow played in this league, and I think Lamar's better. I just don't like the word can't. I mean, God, the Patriots drafted a rugby player. He's still around. You don't tell me can't. What do you make of Lamar Jackson?
Well, I mean, look, we had a chance to talk to his high school coach, Bucky Brooks and myself, on our podcast. We talked to his high school coach, went and talked to his college coaches. His high school coach changed the offense for him and was successful. You get to Louisville, they changed that Petrino offense to fit him and found a way to be successful. And I think he's going to go to an NFL team that's going to do the same thing. Now, it's going to require a lot of patience, and I think it's going to take a while to craft that offense to build it around him. So not only does he need time on the side to develop and improve mechanically, I think it'll take some time so they figure out how to put in an offense that will fit him. So it's more of a long-term play. Deshaun Watson was just so much further along in the passing game if you're going to compare those two.
Yeah, I don't like comparing those two. I just think Deshaun Watson, Nick Saban played him twice, had 6 weeks to prepare for him twice, and just couldn't figure it out. So you go into this draft. Do you think we'll have a lot of trades?
This, Colin, is so unpredictable, and there's so many different trade scenarios that got thrown out to me last night. One of the reasons I had Chubb going to the Colts, because I was told, okay, if you have these quarterbacks go, there's a chance that Chubb could get to 5, and with the Broncos liking both Chubb and Nelson, but with the Colts loving Chubb, they might just flip one spot so the Colts could ensure that they get Chubb at 5. I've heard talk about Arizona coming up. Maybe not into the top 5, but potentially in that range if one of the quarterbacks slides. We've all talked about Buffalo forever. And then you've got the back end of the first round where you've got teams coming in for those guys. So it seems like we're going to have a lot of action, which means there'll be no trades, and it'll just be straight flat line the whole time.
Daniel Jeremiah, 8 years scouting, now joining us Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Colin. Take care, man.
By the way, RJ Bell in Vegas. Mayfield's getting a lot of love here. The updated odds, Baker Mayfield, the overwhelming odds, minus 300. Sam Darnold, plus 160. Confusing to a lot of people. Josh Allen, 14-1. They have Josh Rosen at 50-1 to be the number one pick, and yet Greg Cosell says that's your best quarterback. I mean, this whole thing is just cray-cray. Baker Mayfield.
Cray-cray, huh?
Baker Mayfield, number one.
What are you going to do?
I just, we do, I don't.
Doesn't that mean that these people who are paid to research this kind of thing and figure this all out, do their homework, consensus have realized that Baker Mayfield is an okay choice?
No,
is there a chance you're wrong?
There's virtually never, ever, but there is a, I think the consensus is, what the hell are they doing? I mean, if you read the internet this morning and all the scouts who, like Daniel's got a bunch of, he worked for these teams. He's got a bunch of guys. They're all shaking their head at this. Like, sometimes, listen, some of life is really hard. Like, you're a step parent, and how do you parent it? Like, there are hard things in life. And then there's just easy stuff. Don't do meth. Don't.
Usually a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Don't drink and drive.
I was literally going to say that.
Yeah, don't be an idiot. Don't draft Sam Darnold. Just do it. It's not that difficult. Big, strong, physical, tough. Won a bunch of games. Coachable. No attitude. No police video. I can't believe it's so funny. I've been so marginalized. Coward, you are unbelievable.
Oh, you've been so marginalized.
It's incredible.
Poor Colin.
Unbelievable. I can't believe you are so hard on him with police video.
I mean, you called him out for taking a shirtless picture for Sports Illustrated.
Don't like it.
When it turned out that they insisted he take his shirt off, and so he was obliging the request.
I don't know. Obliging sounds very Frenchy. Bougie to me. I don't know what that.
Bougie.
Okay, Brett Brown, coach of the Sixers, around the corner. How much is your identity worth? How much? According to an online security company, the going rate for an internet user's identity is worth $1,200 to hackers. That's all my stuff is worth $1,200. That's it? That's all my information's worth?
I would say it's worth a lot more than that.
That's what I would think, but they steal it and put it on the dark web, which is where Goulet hangs around all the time. I don't even know what the hell the dark web is.
Goulet doesn't deserve this. Who's going to be here to defend you after today,
do you go to www.darkweb.com? How do you get to the dark web?
Well, that's another story.
Anyway, you need protection. Nobody can stop every cyber threat or prevent all identity theft. But LifeLock can help with Norton Security to protect all your assets. Call 1-800-LifeLock, code HERD, or go to lifelock.com, code HERD.
I'm able to be true to myself in a space